Hey everybody, welcome to Let's Write Scripts. I'm Micah Crowdy, the head of writing at Arc Studio, the best screenwriting app in the world. If you're looking for an app to write your next script, you can start writing it for free with Arc Studio, and there's a link in the description to check it out. Today on Let's Write Scripts, we're going to do 3 writing sprints where you can work on your script or short story or novel or other creative writing project, or maybe you're just at work and you want some creative company and you're filling out some sort of report or form. I don't know what you do, but whatever it is, you can do it with us here on Let's Write Scripts. So we'll be writing during the timed writing sprints, and then we'll be chatting in between the sprints about screenwriting, and I'll be answering your questions about screenwritings. Before we get into it, I want to know, where are you and what are you writing today? Love seeing people from all over the world joining us here on Let's Write Scripts. So where are you joining from? Where are you watching from? What are you writing today? What kind of project, but also like, what are you doing on it? Where are you in the process? And then we often start with a discussion question to kind of get our brains going. You know, you're dealing with the other stuff in your life, and now that it's writing time, to sort of help us get into that mode. The discussion question today is, what's it take to write a good plot twist? So I'll share a few thoughts, but I want to know what you guys think about what does it take to write a good plot twist. So please get in the chat. Let me know where you are, what you're writing today, and what's it take to write a good plot twist. And if you're feeling it, please like this video, hit subscribe, and turn on all notifications. And of course, during the second break, I'm going to show the sandwich of the week, which, if you're like, what is the sandwich of the week? That sounds really amazing. Yeah, it is. And you're going to have to wait to the second writing break, second sprint. Second break, in order to, my brain short-circuited there for a second, to find out what the sandwich of the week is, and I will share it. So if you're new, though, you might just be like, wait, what is this? What have I tuned into? What is Let's Write Scripts? The basic function of it is I'm on camera, you're in the chat, and during the writing sprints, I put a timer up on the screen, play some chill music to get in the writing vibe. I'm muted, I shrink off to the side, and during those sprints, we all work on whatever the project is that we're here to work on. They're not prompted sprints because everyone's kind of working on something different. They're in a different stage in the process. Maybe you're, brainstorming, maybe you're doing some rewrites, maybe you're figuring out your outline, working on dialogue, could be a million different things. So during the sprints, it's just like, a concentrated just time for you to just like lock in on your writing, block out the rest of the world and just do it. And then again, after the sprints, we come back together, we chat, talk about how that writing went, and you can ask questions, and that's when I will answer questions that you have. So if you have screenwriting questions, you can ask it in the chat. 11 people joining. Cash in Texas, creating 24/7. That's fun. What does it take to write a good plot twist? A plot and a twist. That's true. Those are the 2 elements of it. So you got me there. Hot and sunny Texas. It is. I'm in LA right now, and it's hot. We've been there's this joke in LA that summer doesn't really start till August. I mean, it's not really a funny joke, but I've talked about it. In May, we have May gray, and then in June, we have June gloom, and that's where it's like really cloudy in the mornings because of the marine layer. And then usually in July, it's kind of where it starts getting sunny in the morning, but it kind of continued in July. So we had May gray, June gloom, and then no sky July. But now that we're in August, it's just summer. There's no like fun rhyme thing about how the sky is gray. It's just summer, which is why it's a little dark in here, because I have like lights off because I'm hot. So apologize for the picture being slightly grainier than usual, but I don't want to just be sweating during Let's Write Scripts. Tessa in Studio City, you're in the Valley. You're feeling the heat. Working on the round of edits in your pilot. Awesome. Ali Films, working on your next short film. Struggling with good dialogue. If you have any specific questions about that, Ollie, let me know in the chat. ZC's working on a pilot. Charles in Denver, rewriting a feature to a TV. Oh, so you're turning a feature into a TV pilot. Awesome. Rhonda and Brea, plugging away on your script. Cash. I actually started my short story with a plot twist and a vague sense of plagiarism of Agatha Christie. I'd say it's important to tease the twist the whole way through. Yes, definitely. You don't want the twist to come out of nowhere. That's our kind of discussion question. What does it take to write a plot twist? Get in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. Cash is saying it's important to tease the twist the whole way through. That's important for a few reasons. We could also call this foreshadowing. And the reason I'm asking this question is because that's our discussion today, is because I'm working on editing right now. I recorded this morning a video on plot twists that I'm going to release on Monday. And foreshadowing does a few things. One, it makes everything feel intentional, so that at the end, it feels like this was you had a vision, like this wasn't just random. 2, it helps build anticipation because like with these little teases, this foreshadowing, you don't want to give everything away. They're just like little glimpses. And the audience kind of knows something is going on, but they don't know what, and it builds anticipation. And then at the end, when the reveal actually happens, it like gets that sense of satisfaction. So you get the tease, the building the anticipation, and then the satisfaction. There's like a wholeness to it. It feels like the audience went through like a whole experience that was worthwhile. So definitely teasing is great. EB in Tampa, welcome. Yeah, Rhonda's summer in August, definitely. Yeah, totally. The audience doesn't understand the clues until the reveal. Yeah, totally. Juno in Massachusetts doing some story plotting today with the I think a great plot just takes us setting up a clear expectation with the audience and then fulfilling it, but with the unexpected side effects or consequences. That's also interesting because, and that's something I talk about in the video, is that because the video is kind of about The Sixth Sense, which if you haven't seen it, I rewatched it over the weekend. I hadn't seen it in like, I don't even know, 20 years or something, 15 years. And, you just like, you remember the big twist kind of, but like, it's a really good movie too. There's a lot more going on. And it does deliver other things, other expectations, and fulfills them. And then the twist is kind of like the cherry on top that elevates it. So I think that's really interesting. And that's a really great point, Gina, to point out, is that with plot twists, it's usually not all about the plot. There are some movies that are kind of built around the plot, and those are more like mystery ones, like The Usual Suspects, The Prestige, kind of ones where it's like it's built around a big question, and like but you have to have a really great answer for those kind of things, because it's like you got one shot. You just have to deliver like a big thing that's gonna like impress the audience, or else they're gonna feel cheated. So if you can have some other story, some other expectations that you can fulfill, and then have the twist be kind of a surprise on top of that, I think that's really great. William, a plot twist should feel as far away from expectations as possible, yet somehow feel inevitable. Throw the audience somewhere unpredictable, but show them it was that way all along. Yes, the surprising yet inevitable. I feel like you hear the joke about like someone's surprising yet inevitable betrayal. But that's the challenge of how do you make it feel surprising and inevitable. That's kind of ties into the foreshadowing we were talking about, but it ties into what I was just talking about with Juno, where you have something else that's going on, like something else has the emotional story, right? And so the audience is focused on that emotional story, those questions. And then the twist is something else, but it ties into that emotional story, right? So it connects it together. So that's kind of how you make it feel inevitable, because you tie the twist into the emotional story, and you're like, and it helps resolve the emotional story. It's just kind of resolving the emotional story in a surprising way. But good thoughts there. Serenity working on a Hallmark style. Oh, man, my like tongue is malfunctioning today. Hallmark style Christmas movie. Awesome. Congrats. EB is working on a pilot. Working on a musical. I'm always going to throw in good things about Arc Studio. Fantastic. Glad you've enjoyed it. Serenity. Oh, look at this in Butterdocs. Yeah. So I haven't talked about Butterdocs in a while, but like, Arc Studio is our app for writing screenplays, and Butterdocs is our app for writing other things like fiction. And I'm actually going to be using Butterdocs today because I'm actually working on a short story. It's interesting because it's a short story I'm writing with the intention of trying to like, it could be a movie. Like, it's like, I'm writing a short story to be like, this is something to sell as IP, intellectual property, for a movie. But I'm using Butterdocs. So if you like Arc Studio, Butterdocs is very similar, but it's for prose. It's not for scripts. It's for writing novels, research papers, whatever, like that kind of stuff. All right. I always go back to the earned but inevitable plot twist, writing the line between shock and the OMG, of course. Yeah, this is tying into what William was saying, Tessa. That's a really good point, where you're like, OMG, of course. I mean, that's like the goal. It's like the goal, right? That's what you're shooting for. It's like, it had to be like that. And again, but that had to be like that. The trick to that is not through the plot mechanics. It's through the emotional story. It's through the journey that the character takes, and having the twist really tie into that, because it's the emotional journey that like really makes people feel, like, gives a sense of satisfaction, and that like this was a story worth telling. So I think that's one of the keys of plot twist, is not getting lost in the plot of it all. Like, plot twists aren't actually about plot, or they're partially about plot, but they're like plot, but like they're about what the character is going through. They're about the character story. And the more you can make it about that, then like the more you can kind of hide the plot mechanics of it. That's awesome. All right. Ollie, I've made 4 short films. They're all without dialogues. My next film was my first time using dialogue. I'm so used to visual story that I'm quite worried about how to do storytelling with dialogue. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about dialogue later on. I think that could be a good discussion topic here. Christian from South Carolina, welcome. Yeah, we'll talk about dialogue. Any tips? And great. Alejandro, working on a psychological thriller. I love that. Rhonda, speaking of Sixth Sense, is there a specific term for when a ghost, someone who has died, shows up to have dialogue with a character in real time? I don't think so. If anyone knows of a term for that, I mean, there are like so many terms these days for everything. Like on like TV tropes, there's a website that like has names for all of these things, but I don't personally know one. But if you do, let me know. John Michael, welcome. Writing plot twist. See, I love when people actually join to not write scripts, because it's like creative company is so important. So you're working on code for a client's website. But I'm glad you stopped by to like say hello, because, you know, we're focusing on the writing, but like the camaraderie and the fellowship between writers is like very important. It's like, we need this. You need this in your life. So John, I don't know if you've already dropped out, but if you're still here, glad you came. All right. So here we go. Cash has been using Butterdocs to outline a space fantasy movie. Cool. Malangana from South Africa. Work on a psychological thriller to get more interest on screenwriting. Well, Malangana, if you have questions, specific questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. And during the breaks later on, we'll chat more about them. So if you have a specific question, let me know, and I'll do my best to answer that. Let's see here, Ali. So they're tying the plot twist with the emotional story, which ends up making the twist more heavyweight. Exactly. That's what I was talking about. It's all about the emotions. Like, stories are all about characters. I mean, you can get into like plot versus story. I mean, and sometimes you're kind of splitting hairs on like what exactly you mean. But like when I talk about plot, it's like the events as they happened. And when I talk about story, it's like what the characters went through and how they changed. Like that's kind of, it's like, it's the human element of it, or alien or whatever, whatever. Maybe you don't have humans in your script. You have some other type of creature. But like that kind of, that the personhood, like it's like what they're going through. Like that's what the stories are really about. It's not like the sequence of events. So tying it into that, is great. Denise, welcome back from Nashville, working in a theatrical skit. Fun. Samantha in Brooklyn, working the final touches of your second short film. Did you film the first one? Let me know how that went. Short films are great because you can make them. And as a reminder, I talked about making more videos. There's a how to write a short film video on the YouTube channel that you're watching right now, Arc Studio Screenwriting, and also how to write great scenes or good scenes or something like that. Those 2 videos are very helpful. I would recommend to people writing a short film. And agree on the value of writing community. The discussion in this group is the best. I love thinking about how storytelling works and reading everyone's thoughts. I'm thinking more about that community and like what else we can do, because I love Let's Write Scripts, but like in terms of it being on YouTube, a lot of it is, a timer on screen and like nothing happening, like in your writing, and it's great. But I'm trying to think of other things that we can do together, live streamed, as part of this community. And I had this idea and I wanted to run it by you guys to see how you would feel, because it kind of depends on you. But one thing I want to try to do is like do live scene rewrites. So basically it would be you guys would like maybe submit a scene from your script or something, and I would have it up on screen for everyone to see. And I would like talk about it, what it's doing well, what I think it could be doing better, how I would change it. And it's sort of like doing a live writing. So instead of like everyone working on their own thing and they're just sort of being a timer on the screen, it'd be like a script on screen and we were talking about it and the chat would be talking about it. And then potentially also maybe tying that in with a scene from like a movie or something that's doing the similar thing. Like if it's a fight scene, then doing a good fight scene. If it's a romance, if it's, an argument, if it's a reveal, if it's anything kind of like that, then, kind of taking an example, like, and this is how this movie does this, and then kind of comparing it. I think it'd be really cool. I'm not sure what it'll be called or what, but seem like people are game for that. So all right, I might do that and like set up some sort of like submission thing for that so people can do it. And like, I'd be kind, right? And people would need to be respectful. But like, there would be people, you just need to be comfortable with critique, because it would be critique. Like, I'm not going to be like, this sucks or anything like that. But I will say, it could do these things better. This is what I would do. These are some of the problems that are on it. So you need to be comfortable with that, I would say, a little bit. It will be respectful, but some people just don't want to hear critiques at all. And if you're one of those people, then don't participate in this, because there will be critiques. But I'm loving it. It seems like people really are digging that idea. So, all right, cool. And then No Shrinking Violets, still trying to make your first short film. Second one might happen it's funny how that works sometimes, how like the projects don't go in order. All right. Please, can you give us a start date right now? No, I don't have a start date yet, but I'm glad, but I am encouraged by the response to that idea. That's what I will say. All right. This is great. I'm loving the energy today. I love hanging out with you guys. I think we should take this energy into writing. We're going to do the 15-minute writing sprint right now. So again, if this is your first time, in just a second, I'm going to put up a timer on the screen. It's going to be a 15-minute countdown. And I'm going to shrink off to the side. I'll be muted. I'll play music. And during that sprint, you just work on your thing, whatever you're here to work on. Just like lock in and do it. If you have questions, you can ask them in the chat. And again, I will get to them after the break, though, because I'm also going to be ready. We're all going to be ready together. So I'm going to put 15 minutes up. I'm going to slow down a little bit because all the music is chill. And remember, the first sprint that's like the warm-up sprint. Like, don't stress about it's just like you're not coming up with brilliant ideas, or your fingers aren't flying on the keyboard. It's just like we're getting in the vibe. Maybe you're free writing. Maybe you're reading back over what you were working on before. You're just really trying to lock in and set yourself up for success kind of in the later sprints. But hey, if you get some great writing done in the first one, sometimes it just flows. So without further ado, because I always do further ado, we're going to get into it. So 15 minutes on the clock. I'll catch you guys on the other side. Let's do it. Let's write. All right, that takes us to the end of the first write sprint, the 15-minute write sprint. I want to welcome everyone who joined during that sprint. This is Let's Write Scripts, brought to you by Arc Studio Screenwriting, the best screenwriting software in the world. I saw a few people joined, like Tim in the UK, have my granddad's war diary here, trying to write a screenplay out of it. That's pretty cool. Best of luck with that. For everyone who was doing that sprint, let me know how did it go? How are we feeling today? Are the muses with us? Are we struggling with anything in particular that you have questions about, either in general screenwriting or with something specific that you're working on right now? Personally, that sprint went really well. I'm reading back over. I'm kind of doing a revision of this story. It's a short story. Again, if you weren't here at the beginning, I'm working a short story myself, and so reading through it. I got notes on it, tweaking some things, and I'm excited about it. And I'm just like, yeah, feeling good today. Didn't do anything like major in that. I think in the next two sprints, I have some more kind of heavy lifting to do. But yeah, feeling good about it. Had some questions in the chat here. Ollie was asking about any tips about dialogue. I mean, I feel like, is there anything to avoid, or there's a lot to say about dialogue. One thing I like to talk about dialogue is that, like, or the biggest thing to avoid is using it for like exposition dumps, right? Like if you find yourself using the dialogue as a means to convey information to the audience, then warning bells should go off and you should take a look kind of at what you're doing. I like to think of dialogue as a tool, right? It's a tool that your characters use to accomplish something. In a scene, your character should generally want something. That's what the point of the scene is. They want to be comforted. They want to hurt someone. They want to steal something. I mean, they want to defeat the enemy. They want to, like get a glass of water. Like they're just very simple things, whatever it could be that they want. And like the dialogue is one of the ways that they do that. And also kind of like having it come from like who they are and what they want. And also, don't worry too much about it in the first draft, I guess I could say. In your first draft, you might find that like your characters all kind of sound like you. And I think that's pretty normal. And part of the process is developing them, getting deeper kind of into who they are, who their voices are. And sometimes it'll take like, you'll just get one thing that you'll write and you'll be like, oh, that's their voice. That's who they are. And then you can kind of build off that. So don't worry about kind of like doing it as a process. Malangana is asking, so in screenwriting, there's a rule of 1 minute equals 1 page. What techniques do you personally use to make sure your story pacing stays consistent with the runtime logic? It's more of a rule of thumb than something that you need to use as a guideline. So basically it averages out to that, but not every page is going to be 1 minute. Some will be shorter, some will be longer. For instance, if a page has a lot of dialogue on it, that's actually going to be shorter. If it's just action and like description reading, that's going to be longer. So certain scripts don't really follow that. Like comedies tend to film shorter than their length oftentimes because dialogue just takes up more space on the page. And so when the script is longer than the runtime, whereas like action and horror sometimes will have shorter scripts, but there's more description or something in there, so they're longer. So honestly, you don't really need to worry about that. Like just tell the good story that you need to tell. And it's more a production kind of thing. It's like an average, but it's not, again, something that like you need to necessarily write toward, I guess. Tim, I wanted to say here, that's really cool that you're writing a screenplay from your granddad's diary. It can be a challenge though. So I just wanted to, I mean, you didn't ask for tips, but I'm just going to share some anyways, because like that's what I do here. Don't be afraid. Don't feel the need that you have to include everything. I will say, like, there's just, when you're in an adaptation, especially like a diary, there's just gonna be so much information, right, to use. Find the story in the diary and tell that story using the details from the diary, but don't feel like you just have to turn the diary into a screenplay, right? It's a process of adaptation. You're finding something in there that's a story and developing that using almost like the diary as fuel or support, less than like necessarily a direct guideline for it. So just want to give you a sense, like have some little freedom with the story that you're telling. Let's see here. What else do we have going on in the chat? Paula, welcome from Nova, and Thea, welcome. Glad you're here. Ali had a good sprint. Christian, I've got a plot twist coming up at the all is lost moment. I'm wondering if I drop a hint that leads the audience in the other direction a scene or two before, or is that too obvious? Christian, I'm kind of reluctant to give blanket kind of advice like that. It's just because what I say might not apply to your specific situation. I mean, it's hard. I wish I could just be like, oh yeah, this is what you do 2 pages before, blah, blah, like, but that's not really how stories work. I don't know if you necessarily need to do that though. I wouldn't say you have to do that. I mean, you can try it. Honestly, that's such like, I understand that's such a lame thing, but like so often you're going to hear that in writing. Just like, try it. Like I'll get notes from people and I'll be like, and I'll be talking about it. I'm like, oh, what if I do this? And they'll be like, yeah, try it. So try it. And if you feel like it's actually doing something, then yeah, keep it. And if not, you can cut it. All right, here. Working on a 1-hour pilot, and I just finished the second act. I feel good, but I'm not totally sure if it's doing what a second act should do. Any tips on the second act in a 5-act structure? That's a good question. I always get nervous when it's just like so specific. Like, what do you do in this act? What do you do at this thing? Kind of a thing. It's not really how my brain works. But I will say, all right, your first act, you've teased. It's an opener, right? You've hooked the audience. You've sort of introduced the character, the world. In a second act, oftentimes you kind of want to get the story going. I guess I would say that, like, whatever this thing is that you're writing, whatever the story is in this world, like, get it on its feet, get it going. Again, that's kind of blanket advice, but there's so many different kinds of stories and like so many different ways of writing them. But I would say that, yeah, in a second act, like get the things going. You've hooked in the first act, you've introduced, and like now you're launching. Oftentimes maybe the inciting incident will be there in that second act, or somewhere around there at the beginning of it or at the end of it, but like kind of in that general. And so you just kind of want to get that, get things going. I will say there. All right. Which kind of brings me to, all right. So then Malangana, I'm working on a short psychological thriller. How do I make sure I feed the audience tension without spoon feeding the plot? So a lot of this has to do with questions. And this kind of ties into actually what we were talking about plot twists earlier, because you need think about what questions the audience is asking. Like, where is their mind at? What do they want to know? What are they worried about? And make sure you're giving them things, and that, you're kind of adding things. In a short film, you're not going to have that much of this, but think about, like, what are they worried about? What are they intrigued by? What do they think is going to happen? And like really have strong questions in there, because that's like not necessarily about plot. It's about like audience expectations. So, but just really putting yourself kind of in their headspace and like, what are they scared of, right? Where's their anxiety coming from in this moment? And if you have a really good sense of that, I think that should help with the tension. All right, cool. Anthea, an identical twin, just dropping the fun facts in in there. Great. Serenity had a good sprint. This is great. I'm loving it. All right, let's I think we're warmed up now. I think we should go into the second sprint. Often call this the Goldilocks sprint. It's the 25-minute sprint, the one in the middle where we're warmed up. In the first sprint, we've been talking about writing a little bit. We're kind of going to be locked into our script or whatever it is that we're working on today after the first sprint. So yeah, we're warmed up, but we're not yet tired, which happens oftentimes during the third sprint where you're like, my brain just hurts. So 25 minutes on the clock. I'm going to play some more music, put the 25-minute timer up, and then we are going to, we're just going to write. And then we'll chat a little bit more in the next break. I'll show the sandwich of the week, answer some more questions if you guys have them, make some brief announcements, and then we'll do one more sprint at the end. That's lovely. I love it. Also, I just feel like red. I'm like sweating. It's very hot. But here we are, we're just with it. This is natural. This is what we're doing here. Writing is it's an athletic endeavor when you're hosting a show. All right. So what am I doing? Yeah, I'm playing some music. 25 minutes on the clock. y'all, and we're going to write, and then we're going to come back. So let's get into it. All right, everybody, that is the end of the second writing sprint, the 25-minute writing sprint, the golden, not golden, well, it could be the golden writing sprint, the Goldilocks writing sprint, as I like to think about it, when you're warmed up from the first sprint, but not too tired like during the last sprint. If you joined during that sprint, this is Let's Write Scripts. I am Micah Craddy, the head of writing at Arc Studio and a WGA, sorry, I hit myself in the chest there, a WGA screenwriter. So glad you're here. We're going to do one more writing sprint. We've done two so far. If you joined, welcome. During that sprint, welcome. If you did that sprint, let me know how to go. Did things pick up from the first sprint? Was your writing easier? Were the words starting to flow? Did you hit some tough spots? Things get a little tricky for you? If you have any specific questions, feel free to get in the chat and let me know. Whether, it could be about screenwriting, just anything about screenwriting, or it could be about something, you're struggling with in your script right now. So yeah, get in the chat and let me know. Serenity's brain broke, which is not great. Not what you're looking for in a writing sprint, but hopefully we can like Humpty Dumpty that back together again, Serenity. And you're going to do all right. All right. There was a question here from Juno. Question for next break. Any strategies for organizing a large number of ideas for a story in a way that helps you figure out where they should go? Starting to think I need a literal giant corkboard. I mean, literal giant corkboards aren't bad. I have corkboard to my left and whiteboards to my right, which I don't know, on the video it might be the opposite because things are mirrored. But I think it can be great just to like have that stuff around you. The other thing that weirdly helps with this kind of stuff is time, which is not a spatial element, but the other element. And that's like sitting with the things for a while. That combined with free writing about them, and you just kind of can see like what starts flowing out of there, like what's important, what of those things are really staying with you and grabbing your attention. It can be really helpful to do that. I love that because sometimes I'll just start free writing and I'll just kind of have notes and notes and notes, and then eventually threads kind of start to emerge from that. And in that, think about the characters. I'm always going back to the characters. Like in these ideas, what do they tell you about the characters? Like what's their journey going to be? What are they dealing with? What do they want? And figuring out that kind of what the character's deal is really can kind of help coalesce some of those things. So that's what I would say, Juno. All right, let's see here. Serenity got a lot of words. 618 words, figured out a small plot point. Oh, that's awesome. Today's a good day. Your brain broke. I mean, it's worth it. Worth breaking your brain for that. I mean, writing words, figuring out a plot points. That's fantastic. Cash got some good words written. That's great. Tess is starting to find a rhythm, character dynamics. The muses are in the building. Hey, they're in the building. That's great. Just like leave the door open for them. Like put out some food. You can lure them closer. ZC, how would you ensure pacing so your script doesn't run too long, especially for a 1-hour pilot? I mean, yeah, we were talking about page count earlier. I mean, a lot of this is like instinct. I would say you should trust yourself, particularly if you're a consumer of media, like you actually have a knowledge of like what a 1-hour pilot feels like, or like what 1 hour of television feels like. Also, like page is generally pretty good. If it's around 60, like that is a good thing. I mean, it can vary. Not everything is there. But like, are you telling a full story? Like, are you telling the full story? I think you'll know, like I guess I would just say trust your instincts a lot in this. But are you introducing a story and are you telling a full story? Is there an arc? These are just kind of like, I guess, parts of it that kind of help tell you that. But again, there's so many different kinds of 1 hour pilot. I can't tell you that exactly, but I don't know. Those are some things I would think about. Oh, Claire, how to pitch 15 and I don't know how to learn to do it. There's maybe a resource that you would recommend to young screenwriters. I mean, well, you're 15, so don't stress about it. It's not like a thing, like just worry about writing. It's cool that you're into it. I didn't get into screenwriting until like after college or like end of college kind of. So it's really awesome that you're already thinking about it. But like, the way you learn to pitch is really just to do it and to get feedback from people. You just try it. But like, okay, here's one thing you can do actually. Tell your story that you're working on to your friends. That's like one of the best ways to pitch, because what you're doing when you're pitching is you're just telling a story in a way that you're trying to get people excited about it. So like if you just tell your story to your friends, or, you know, and like gauge their reactions basically, or try to think, or try to think about it. Like, how would I tell this story in a way that would make them exciting? Like, say you just watched, you know, an episode of your favorite show, you guys both favorite show, but they missed it and they're like, what happened? Because I don't know, they can't watch it. They just want you to know. And you're telling them, oh my gosh, this is what happened. You kind of know how to tell them that story in such a way that's like going to make them excited. So that's what pitching is. It's just for your own work. So kind of thinking about it that way is a great way to go about it. But again, if you're 15, like you're probably not going to be pitching for a while. Like just write a lot, work on that. I would say. So those are the kind of the two things I would say. All right. Yeah. The obligatory AI. I've been getting this one a lot lately. So I personally don't use AI in screenwriting. And last week someone asked about using AI for feedback, and I kind of answered it from that perspective. And my question, I'll just kind of reiterate that one from I don't use it for feedback because what I'm interested in screenwriting and all kinds of my writing is how it makes people feel. Are they intrigued? Are they bored? Are they excited by it? Are they amused? Are they scared? Are they, you know, is it eliciting the emotional reactions and interest that I want? And AI can't tell you that. It can just tell you like form, and like it's, you know, it's a predictive text tool, like basically. So that, and then the second thing is I don't use it for my writing in the sense because one, I love writing, like coming up with the stuff is the whole point. That's what I want to do. Two, I think of writing as a long-term thing. I don't think about necessarily this. I try not to focus on the individual script, the individual scene. I picture this thing I'm going to be doing for years, kind of like an athletic endeavor. And athletes train their muscles, right? If you're training, you don't make things easier on your muscles. Like athletes actually like put on weighted vests. They run with parachutes to make it harder. They run in the heat, you know, they do all these things. So they want to be able to perform at the highest level. And so with AI, my thought is that if you're using these tools to sort of offload your thinking, you know, to not figure out things, then my fear is that your muscles will then atrophy and you'll become worse and worse at that. So I don't use AI tools for those reasons, I would say. But I'm curious. I'd love to hear some other perspectives. If anyone else has any perspectives they want to share in there, let me know. Christian, 4 pages written today. That's awesome. Rhonda found some dialogue to rewrite. I think Anthea was talking about the how to deal with. There's a question earlier about dealing with like lots of ideas. Anthea was saying, I have a poster paper, write up blocks with the ideas so I can review them all at once. That's really cool. Is there such a thing as a writer's statement, like the equivalent of a director's statement? Are you talking about specifically for this project? Or like for yourself as a whole? Because is kind of this idea of like your elevator pitch for yourself as a writer, like who you are. And it's something I've always been really bad at. But it's not quite the same, you know, as a director's statement for like an individual project. I mean, because basically it's like the writer's statement is like the pitch or like the script itself, you know? So it's not like you're not sharing your, it's just, again, it's kind of the pitch, I guess. So I don't know if there's exactly a corollary like that. If there are some specific elements to your script, such as using puppets or filming like a 60s sitcom, where do you put that? So in terms of like formatting, I mean, honestly, just like be as clear as possible. So like if you're saying filming like a 60s sitcom, I would kind of say like, if you're talking about like visually that this looks like a 60s sitcom, I would put something, you know, in the scene heading, like in parentheses, you know, like sitcom style or something. And then the first time I do it, I will say like the, you know, I would give basically like a brief description of like what it is. And if like such as using puppets, I mean, you just say in the action that like these are puppets. Clarity, just like try to be clear, concise, and entertaining are really, what you need to do, I would say. All right. Cool. Yeah, next week, please RSVP. We're doing Let's Write Scripts. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to have a guest, which is exciting. And more coming on that guest. Also, yeah, I mentioned the videos I've been doing. I released one on Monday on The Princess Bride and how to make the audience fall in love with the movie. So with your movie, and I kind of went through about how Princess Bride, which is one of my favorite movies, and if you haven't seen it, it's so good. How they basically, the film manages its relationship with the audience. And if you don't know what that means, it's basically the idea that you're not just presenting information to the audience. You have to take into consideration how they're feeling, what they're thinking, the questions they're asking, that kind of stuff. Because that's kind of how you keep them engaged. And the idea, it's if you develop that relationship, they'll fall in love with the movie. And so I kind of talk about The Princess Bride and how to do that. So you can check that out on the Arc Studio blog or on the Arc Studio YouTube channel, which you're on right now. And on Monday, there's going to be a video coming about The Sixth Sense and plot twists. I'm curious who hasn't seen The Sixth Sense? Because it's been a while now. It's been around for a while, but I'm curious if you haven't seen it. And I assume everyone knows the twist. If you don't know the twist, that would be a plot twist to me if you don't know the plot twist in The Sixth Sense. But if you haven't seen it in a while or haven't seen it ever, it's good. It holds up. I really enjoyed it. It's known for the twist, but there's also some just really good character stories. Haley Joel Osment's character and his mom, their relationship is heartbreaking and touching. And there's a lot of good stuff going in there. So so check that stuff out. And it is pretty good. Yes, great movie. It has been a long time. Yeah, it's cool. Check it out. All right. So also finally in this break, we're going to show the sandwich of the week. And this is just where I show the best looking sandwich, maybe, or the best tasting sandwich that I made this week. We've got a beauty this week. Look at this sandwich. This is, and the lighting on it, it's so perfect. This is beautiful. So this is a carved rotisserie chicken on rosemary polenta bread. We've got Italian mixed greens. We've got cheddar. We've got pickles. We've got avocado. We've got tomato, mayo, and mustard. And this was just a beast of a sandwich. And it was so, oh my gosh, I just love this sandwich. Anyway, so I'm just going to take a moment to relive this one. Yes, that bread, it was very good. So sometimes I'm a little I'll do the sandwich of the week. I'm this one wasn't that good, but this one, I just looking at this and this is a thing of beauty. And that's why I did kind of just the simple frame here, on a white wall, because I feel it just didn't need a lot of ornamentation. It just can speak for itself. So I'm just going to take a moment of silence here just to appreciate this sandwich. Okay. And that was my moment of silence for the sandwich. Fantastic. Yes. A+++. OMG. Wow. Yum. Yes. Exactly. These are what I like. Love the shadows. Yeah. It's so funny because there were shadows in the photo, and then this template that I'm using here also it feels like there's actual light on this thing. This feels like I actually took a photo of this on the wall, which is pretty good. Yeah. Where's the pickle haters this week? Anthea saw the video, how to make the audience fall in love. Excellent overview. Oh, awesome. Glad. Well, if Anthea says it's excellent, then you all should definitely check it out. I almost timed. I did another twist, then I heard it in my head. LOL. Oh, that's actually interesting, Diamond, because I wonder if you're thinking about the first twist, because there's actually two twists in The Sixth Sense, which I talk about in the video. There's the middle twist and the twist at the end. And people usually think about the twist at the end kind of as that's the one that made everyone go crazy. But they're both doing important things, which is really cool. So anyways, I will check it out. You guys should check it out. All right. We're at 2:22. I think we can do one more sprint. We're going to do a 15-minute one here at the end because we've been chatting a bit. If you have to leave during the sprint, thank you so much for coming. Hope you had a good time. Maybe learned a little something, or just, enjoyed the presence of the other writers. Got some good writing done. Hope to see you back next week. And so if you stick around and do the sprint, then I'll say final farewells at the end. And if not, then I'll say goodbye now. And if you have to leave during the sprint, say farewell in the chat. Let me know how things went. I love seeing that from everybody. So 15 minutes on the clock, and let's just lock in and give it just a little bit more. Give a little bit more of ourselves to our writing. You set this time aside, so just lock in. Let's focus and take advantage of this time we have together. So here we go. 15 minutes. Let's do it. And that brings us to the end of our third and final writing sprint and to the end of Let's Write Scripts for Wednesday, August 6th. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you had a great time. I hope you got some great writing done. I hope you maybe, I don't know, learned something and just like enjoyed the fellowship, like maybe recharged your creative battery or maybe expended your creative battery because you did a lot of writing. Either way, I hope your creative battery was involved. We'll be back next week at the same time, Wednesday at 1 p.m. You can RSVP at the link in the description or just show up at the channel 1 p.m. and find the video for next week. Yeah, it'll be great. Also, check out the video I did on Monday. I dropped on making the audience fall in love with your movie, looking at The Princess Bride, and check out my video that's coming on Monday on plot twists, talking about The Sixth Sense. And yeah, until then, please be kind to yourselves and happy writing. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care of yourselves, guys. Bye.